All right, Slider Nation, welcome back. It's been a minute. We've had a bunch of stuff going on with all of us, but we're back. This is episode 75, and it's about the third time we've recorded episode 75, and hopefully we get a good one out of this one. Had some pretty good racing, some pretty good spectating. I got to see the North-South 100 up at Florence. What an amazing race. But I guess we'll just jump right into Knoxville and some of that drama, starting with Sammy Swindell driving over the top of another driver. I know I have an opinion. What do you guys think about that?
So I didn't watch the Knoxville Nationals. Turns out that my Dirt Vision subscription expired like the day before Knoxville Nationals, and I wasn't going to pay the $400 to watch it again. So I did see the replay of it, and
It was on. It was on.
no, it was on
Flow.
Dirt Vision. It's a world.
Okay, it was on.
It's a world.
I thought I saw it on Flow, but anyway,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Anyways, Sammy just turned down and drove over his tire. That's plain and simple. The guy in front of him didn't do nothing wrong. Sammy tried to make a move, miscalculated it, and went for a ride because of it.
The old talent tank ran dry. And I mean, all due respect to Sammy, he has a massive, huge talent tank, more than most. But he's getting up there in years, and I think that there might be a leak in that talent tank nowadays.
Sounds to me like it's something that's happened to every race car driver out there. You just misjudged your distance, and I didn't see what happened, but misjudged it and said, oops.
He kind of threw a half short slider on the guy, was up underneath him, and right about the point where you would expect a driver to, maybe burp the throttle and turn down to stay off the guy. He didn't. He just stayed in it and, put the right rear right in the guy's Nerf bar and, wrecked them both. It was 100% Sammy's fault. There's nothing the other guy did wrong. And I think it's symptomatic. I think it's time for Sammy to hang it up. I'm really sorry to say that, but I'm just going to call it like I see it. I think retirement should be there.
Do you think you see him at Chili Bowl?
We were talking. Phil and I were talking about that earlier. I 100% think we'll see him at Chili Bowl for a lot of reasons. Some of them monetary, but the other thing too is at a race like that, he could still pull, a rabbit out of his hat. He could still, at his age, win the Chili Bowl, because he's still got that talent. But that also means everything has to line up just right as far as, where he's positioned in his heat, how many fast guys are in his heat, how many passing points he gets. He's not going to run through the field at Chili Bowl. But if he gets a good starting spot and starts up front, he could still win it.
But to be fair with the Chili Bowl, that's the same for every driver out there that has a legitimate chance at winning the Chili Bowl. And I say this, if you're racing on Saturday, you got a chance of winning the Chili Bowl. I mean,
yeah, for sure. If you're in anything above an F, I think you got a shot. If you're in a C or a B, I think you got a real shot. Obviously, if you're in the A, then you're a contender. I think he's not going to be one of those that pulls back to the from the rear to the front kind of charge at at this day and age and at his age. But like I said, if all the stars align, he could still pull off a win, I think, at Chili Bowl. But that's true of probably 80 guys that are there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why guys are choosing to not race in their normal series to go do that for a week.
Yeah. No, I still think it's one of the most amazing events I've ever been to. I'll be there this year for sure. It was a bucket list thing for me, and now it's an every year thing if I can do it. But anyway, back to Knoxville Nationals. Kyle Larson is the internet machine has fired up the Kyle Larson hatred.
It's rigged. They did it. They did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they held up that race just so Kyle Larson could get there and made sure he was going to win it, which is horse manure.
Not the inch and whatever much they got of rain that day.
No, that had nothing to do
Well,
with
not only that, they cut the drivers' meetings short. They skipped driver introductions. They did everything they could trying to get that show off, and the weather wasn't cooperating. And then he stunk up the show. He just came out there and threw a whooping on
So
him.
let's talk about the guys that finished behind him.
Sheldon Haudenschild finished second. Kasey Kahne finished third. Tip of the hat to Kasey Kahne finishing on the podium. He can still drive. But there's a certain YouTuber, which we've talked about in the past, who was stirring the pot with Kyle. And that YouTuber's favorite driver was talking some shit. It's basically saying that I'd like to see how he does if he comes out here and does the grind, 80 plus races. That makes it easier, pal, not harder. When you're out there running every night, you still have the feel for the sprint car, and you're right on the top of your game. Versus taking 3 months off to go do your day job in NASCAR and then coming back out and throwing a whooping on them.
Yep.
And he was fast all week. Kyle Larson was fast all week.
It's insane. Haters are going to hate just because you do a good job.
Yeah, and then that pole shuffle deal with Ryan Timms, I got to hang that on one, Kyle. It was a shitty slider.
Yeah.
But it was a shitty slider on the last lap for the win.
Right.
If you're going to do it, that's when to do it, right?
But Tim's car owner had something to say, and Ryan Timms called Kyle Larson a POS, and then Timms later retracted that and said, I shouldn't have said that. But let's call a spade a spade. Ryan Timms is no angel. He's a very aggressive driver, and he has done that exact move to several drivers.
Didn't his car owner say something?
And, if you didn't see it, he said that Chinese bitch wrecked us. Kyle Larson's response was, "At least get my race right. I'm not Chinese. I'm Japanese." If you didn't see it, Kyle Larson threw a slider on Ryan Timms and clipped his front wing pretty good. I mean, it was more than
it
clipped
knocked it over.
It. And then drove on to win it knocked it over about a foot. And went on to win. It's a dirty slider. It's just, there's no other description for it. That was a dirty slider.
Congratulations, Kyle. You got
sometimes
the dirty
you throw
slider
them.
of the week.
Yeah. But Kyle Larson said it. He goes, "Hey, laps were winding down. It's go time. You got to go."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But even he said, his exact words was, "It wasn't the cleanest of sliders." No, it was dirty.
Well, he's owning it, but he's also going to take the win too.
Yeah. But yeah, congratulations to him on his fourth Knoxville Nationals victory. That's up there with some pretty elite names.
Yeah. So here, this is my favorite picture, I think, from regarding the Nationals. They're the old, winner of the 2026 and third place, sitting together.
Yeah, and Kasey Kahne looks like he's aged about 2 business days since that photo was taken.
Yeah, exactly. He looks the exact same.
All right, well, we're staring.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
There we go.
Hey, we're about to learn something about John.
It was just the Facebook page. All the other stuff's hidden.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. To my other computer.
But like Raz said,
then late
sorry.
models.
It's
ahead.
really good to see Kasey Kahne up there getting the podium after years of racing. His injuries being well documented. some of that stuff kind of is obvious to see at times. You watch him in interviews and whatnot, you can kind of see what potentially has been going on inside there. So it's really good to see that. And being a huge Kasey Kahne fan, I mean, he was my favorite driver when he started driving the number 9 Dodge at Evernham. I was excited and happy to see that. And he was not just finishing third, like he was running second for a long time and then got passed by Haudenschild on a restart. He probably could have gotten Haudenschild back. I think those two, Larson and Haudenschild, not Larson, Kasey Kahne and Haudenschild, that could have gone either direction, second and third.
Yeah, but neither one of them
No.
had anything for Larson.
Nope, not even close.
No. Larson was at Walmart and he was checking out a $200,000 victory. I wonder how much of that Larson keeps.
Somebody's got to pay that jet fuel bill.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a good portion of it had to go to Paul Silva. He's the car owner, he's the crew chief, but I just wonder how that split goes down. And then they followed up the North-South 100 with the Topless at Batesville, and evidently that track's a cheese grater, huh?
Yeah, it was giving the right rear some hell. I mean, there was every car in there except for one had to pit at least once. Some of them had to pit multiple times to get tires. And Dan Ebert, you come off of a first-time winner at the North-South to a first-time winner at the Topless, back-to-back Crown Jewels first-time winners, I think is huge. Super happy and proud for Dan Ebert. He's been busting his butt. A prior snowmobile racer. I didn't really know that until, he got that victory. So congrats to him. If you watch that live, you got to see the last probably 2 laps. Flow cameras were focused on his crew and the dadgummit, I'm going to forget his name and now it's going to tick me off. Brandon Shepard's car owner, Mark Richards. Mark Richards was standing there giving Dan Ebert hand signals the last 2 laps, telling him, hey, buddy, you are miles out there. So it's really cool. And then after he wins, all the different crews in the pit give him a high five and handshakes and all that stuff. It's really awesome to see that.
Let's not forget Mark Richards is also Dan Ebert's chassis
builder. I mean, if Dan Ebert was in a Longhorn, I don't think Mark Richards would be doing that. I agree. But going back to that chassis builder thing, I think.
And then Dan Ebert was
that chassis builder thing. Rockets on won the XR2. Shepard's rattled off some wins. Won the daggum PDC Prairie Dirt Classic. And then. Here with this one, the XR2, I think Rocket's onto something, man. Looks good.
I think it goes back and forth, and it becomes the flavor of the week. It's whoever's winning, that's the hot chassis.
I mean, the Longhorns haven't cooled off because.
But the thing.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that at least in the instance of Shepard, it's not so much the chassis as they've found something in the shocks, is what I think. But if I know Mark Richards, his customers are getting some pretty good shock information. If that's where they found it, he may not be giving all 100%, but he's giving 90% of it to the other teams.
I'm trying to. I feel like Rocket and Mark Richards are partnered with Fox Shocks, aren't they?
They're playing with Bilsteins now.
Bilsteins. Well, that's where Longhorn was at, was Bilsteins, and now they kind of got the Longhorn Dynamics Olsen shock deal going on. But Bilstein, I think, still a pretty big player.
Well, and I think the one who's gonna be a big player, and Phil can co-sign this. They were real big in off road for a while. Olin's is playing with some late model stuff, and if they get their shit together, they'll be a difference maker.
Yeah, that's
got to get their shit together.
That's who I think's paired with Longhorn right now, and
Olins?
Kevin Rumley. Yep, Kevin Rumley, and that team.
Yeah, Kevin Rumley's always one to find an advantage for sure. And then we had an interesting discussion in the group chat that I wanted to bring into this podcast. after the Richmond race, which was boring as hell, by the way, they announced that Connor Zilisch was be going into the number 48 car 2027 after the 27 season. So 2028.
Yep.
Did I get that
Yeah,
right?
because that's 20 the
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he's
'cause
going
Bowman's
in.
out
Bowman's
after
not out
27.
until next year. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Phil.
I'm just going to say this to Papa Hendrick. Build a fuck ton of cars because they're going to get destroyed.
You think Zilisch is going to destroy some
Yes.
cars?
Sorry, guys. I
Yeah.
know we're trying not to cuss, but that's where I stand on that.
Nah, we're all good. I think Zilisch is the talent right now, as far as unsigned Cup guys. He's the top dog of the quote unquote prospects. But obviously Bowman is out. I think Bowman's been out of that ride for probably about a year. Then the question becomes, what does Hendrick do or Chevy do with Corey Day? And we had a rather lively discussion on that. My thought is that he goes in the 9 car. Unpopular opinion, I'm sure.
Well, where is Kyle going to go?
Chase Elliott.
Chase, yeah.
Or I'm sorry.
Chase Elliott,
Chase
yeah.
Elliott. Sorry, guys. Where's Chase going to go?
I think you move him on down the line. I think he's at that point where he's out of that elite ride.
Where is that going to put? Where do y'all think he's going to go? I mean,
Spire, Trackhouse, one of those, I think. His contract's up at the end of 27, so he's in the same boat as Bowman.
So move Corey Day up.
He hasn't done much.
Corey Day up.
Move Corey Day up.
Chase out. Yeah.
And Bowman out.
Yeah.
So you have Larson, Willie B, Connor Zilisch, and Corey Day. That's a pretty stout lineup.
Yeah. I still think I just think Zilisch is. I don't know. I don't think I think he's gonna wreck a bunch of cars. I don't know why I got that feeling.
Well,
that's just my gut.
In a world where in a world where racing is driven by money, which is where we're at when it comes to that top level asphalt NASCAR series racing, I don't see you moving Chase Elliott. He brings too much money to that team. Merch sales, fans, sponsorship, all of that.
Well, and that sends us down another rabbit hole. You cannot buy a starting middle linebacker spot on the Baltimore Ravens.
You gotta have talent. You gotta hit guys so hard that snot bubbles come out in football.
So there is no other sport where someone can show up with money and get themselves a starting position other than motorsports.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely the case in Formula
Absolutely.
1. It's surely the case in IndyCar, and is 100% the case in NASCAR.
Formula 1's prime example is Lance Stroll.
Yeah, if his daddy didn't own the team,
he would never get. He would have never made it to F1, not for his daddy putting big dollars, a lot of zeros on checks.
So if that's the case, then you destroy the quote unquote minor leagues of racing. Because if everybody in Cup was there just on talent alone, not what sponsors you bring, what money you bring. If everybody in Cup was there on talent alone, well, then now you're developing talent in the lower divisions. You're developing talent in the O'Reilly series. You're developing talent in the Truck series. You're developing talent in the ARCA series. If you could just get money, the quote unquote rent-a-ride money out of Cup, then you get the rent-a-ride money out of everywhere.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that statement. And you would probably
So-
also see a lot more cars registering for races. You might have 50 cars, 55 cars trying to make a 40 car field.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I remember that being the case, especially
I
Daytona.
remember it used to be,
You know,
you
there
bring it to get in, and if you didn't get in, if you didn't bring enough, you didn't get in no matter who you were.
Right. There were no guaranteed
and
spots.
they need to get rid of guaranteed spots.
So you name your favorite driver. I don't care who it is. They're bringing some money to be in that seat. Some more than others, because there are some drivers who, through their talent alone, are getting the manufacturer support and getting the full-on team support. Kyle Larson's an obvious example. It says HendrickCars.com on the side of that car. So Chevy and Rick Hendrick are stepping up to put that car on the track, and Kyle Larson is supposed to be, putting up results. Now he hasn't this year, and the contention is that the body change has messed up all the Chevy teams. But he's one of those. You might be able to make the argument that Kyle Larson is there on talent alone. Name another driver.
Josh Berry. What money does he have? He's not bringing no sponsors. He didn't bring no money to that deal. He got there because Dale Jr. picked him up, put him in a car, and he busted his ass to get there.
Okay, well, there's you can't put a dollar figure on it, but there's the exposure from a pretty high profile individual.
And
that
that's
got in
all.
there.
That's all. You need to have the talent in order to catch the break.
Yeah, but I think he's about to slide out of Cup Series.
He is, and I don't
That's
think
what I was
anybody you
gonna
put
say,
in
yeah.
that car is going to. I don't think anybody you put in that car is going to be any better than what he can do.
I'm going to say Austin Hill is there because of dollars, not talent.
Definitely not talent. He doesn't have any.
Who else?
He's a bully on and off,
Yep.
on the track, behind the wheel, and he's a bully on pit
Well,
road.
I mean, this is going to be controversial, but he got into Kyle's ride and has done jack and crap with it.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
arguably, you could sit there and say that even when Kyle was driving that car, there were problems, but that shows you the talent that Kyle had because Austin got in that car and can't take a car that's substandard and run, in the top 15 with it.
right.
Well, Kyle Busch could.
That's what I'm saying and Austin can't.
But I
Austin
think
can't. So that tells you the talent that there was talent with Kyle Busch. Austin's got no talent.
I give you
neither one of the Austins can. Austin Hill or Austin Dillon, they can't carry that team like Kyle.
How much money do you think Ross Chastain's bringing to Trackhouse?
Well, I mean, he is the son of a rather wealthy watermelon farmer.
Well, I'm just wondering. I mean, how much money do you think is there? Because Ross Chastain, he's got a like him or don't, love him or hate him personality, and I happen to be on the side of like, I don't love him, but I don't hate him. I mean, I kind of think it's entertaining to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, he was Carson Hocevar before Carson Hocevar.
Carson Hocevar is another one. I think that kid, he probably come in with money, but I think he's got some chutzpah behind him. I mean, he's got big old huevos, and he doesn't care. He'll put a fender on anybody, and he's like, bring it.
He's got some rather loyal sponsors who followed him up from late models to ARCA, up into the Cup Series, and they have been loyal to him and are still providing sponsorship on that car. But he's very talented. You might say he might be the most talented guy in Cup right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He's aggressive as hell. His persona that he is quietly trying to put out there is he's Dale Sr. You know what? You can't really argue with that. He has come in kind of like Dale Sr. did. Is like, hey, you know what? If you don't like the way I drive, get off the sidewalk.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll agree with that. I mean, he's out there and he's like, I'm not here to make friends. As there's somebody in this podcast, he's got no hair, and we'll just leave it at that. Said, just remember this: we bring our friends to the track with us. We're not here to make friends.
Right.
Yeah, and I think Hosvar doesn't care who he pisses off, and in one respect, I have to kind of respect
And
that.
I'll go as far as he doesn't care if he pisses
as-
NASCAR off either.
Shit.
I mean, and Earnhardt was the same way. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as I'm not going to take anything away from Earnhardt, but I think Kosovar is a personality that's needed in NASCAR right now, because NASCAR, if you're listening to this, your show sucks.
Oh, it's terrible. We could do a whole segment on that, but their current product is terrible. I think the stage cautions are too long, which is all TV driven. They're doing that just for TV. They tried to fix that a little bit, whereas if a natural caution comes out within 10 laps of the stage caution, well, then that will now count as the stage caution. But you're still, you're going to run 10 laps under caution because, they got to, the TV has to, do a break away from the racing, run a commercial or two. They come back, they show pit stops, they show some more commercials, they come back, they do the choose, then they come around, for the checker after the choose. Well, it's 10 laps.
Yeah, it's a joke.
And 10 laps at caution pace is 15-20 minutes.
I think they should still do the stage racing, but instead of slowing the field down, let it roll, because that adds strategy back to it too. I mean, Raz, when you were crew chiefing, if you knew we were going to have a caution at a certain point, how many things would you have planned to do on that caution?
Well, yeah, you run your whole race differently, because when the caution's coming out, and there might be another caution in between there, but for sure you're going to get caution on this lap, so you plan accordingly. And if you do away with the regularly scheduled programming of the stage cautions, you will do away with this whole running 3/4 throttle to conserve fuel, so I don't have to put as much fuel in it, because you don't know when it's coming. So since you don't know when it's coming, you either conserve fuel or you race. It's not everybody does the same thing, and you get boring racing as a result of it. And the car sucks. The car's terrible.
Yep. Like I said, their whole program has taken a crap, and to the point where I don't even I can get the races now, and I don't even turn them on. I would rather go watch grass grow than watch NASCAR right now.
Yeah, I did not watch the Richmond race Saturday night. I watched the highlights the next day.
So NASCAR, get better, or you're gonna no longer be an entertainment venue for people.
All they're doing is making dirt racing more popular, though.
Absolutely.
What do you guys think of Brenham Crouch's roll cage failure?
Scary.
So he took one whale of a lick, though.
Is that
Yeah.
But is that a systemic problem with the sprint car chassis, where they need to change everything to make it safer? He got a broken arm and concussion.
I mean, did he not go cage first into the fence at 140 miles an hour?
Not into the fence, into a nearly stationary car.
He was the one that tangled with Scelzi, Gio Scelzi?
Yep. So my take on it is this: his arm got broken. The Nerf bar came into the cockpit. Okay, I don't think you can do anything about that. I think that's a dumb luck. The Nerf bar is there for a reason, and yeah, it can conceivably come in the cockpit with the right kind of impact or wrong kind of impact, depending on your take. And that broke his arm. The cage failed outside of the envelope that protects the driver. There was no failure which endangered the driver.
No failure of the greenhouse.
Right. And unlike the picture that Phil shared earlier today with
I'm
it,
gonna share that one
Crown
right
Vic,
now.
where the whole cage went out 2 feet out the driver's door.
Oh, I'm trying to.
Did you guys see
Yeah.
I'm
this?
trying to.
We
I'm trying to
shared
do
saw
it
it,
right
it.
now.
shared it in the group chat.
That chassis was never welded to that. The cage was never welded to that chassis. However you want to look at that.
Wow. I'm trying to share it, guys.
Well, and that's
There we go.
oh, you're good. We'll talk about it in the meantime. Crown Vic is a full frame car, so that cage should have cut holes in the top of the chassis, went through the top of the frame rail, welded on the bottom and welded on the top. So it should have been really should have been welded in 2 spots.
You see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Phil said, the more you look at this, the worse it gets. You can't see the driver, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
guarantee
you
he's
can see
hurt.
him.
That's
because if you
that's
look
his
at where
head.
See his
That's
helmet.
his head sticking out the,
That's his
the
head
cage.
sticking outside the cage.
out the. So where was the seat
That's
mounted?
a good
cage?
question.
Was it mounted to the cage?
It's mounted to the cage.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, so arguably the seat should be mounted to the
No.
cage, because if the cage moves, the seat needs to move with the cage, because that takes the driver and keeps the driver in the greenhouse. That right there, though, is wrong on so many levels that I just like my brain is exploding. I'm having 6 aneurysms right now.
I don't see.
Well, okay, let's point out the obvious. First things first, that driver's not contained within
He
the
is not.
greenhouse. His head is 6 inches outside.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm in total
Um,
agreement with that.
Which
I don't. You can see that the seat is moved.
So that-
Actually,
that-
you know what? That seat is not mounted to the cage. He's leaned sideways. I'll bet you that seat's mounted to the floor.
Well, the bottom of the seat's probably mounted to the floor, then the top
Yeah,
back of the seat's mounted to the cage, which would equate to that
Yeah, that's
orientation.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes better sense. Yeah, like I said, the more you look at this, the worse it gets, because the cage, if you look at the cage, it's twisted and rotated.
Yeah, I don't even see
Jeez.
an intrusion
Oh my
plate on the door bars.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God, that is just.
sure, there might be something there.
Oh. All right.
But yeah, this is how not to build a race car
All right.
101.
Are you ready for me to stop sharing it? All right.
Yeah.
'cause that hurt. That was quite painful.
The problem
But
with
as
sprint car
I don't
roll
I think it was
cages or
you, Raz,
chassis,
said the
however you
tech
wanna define it,
inspector should be
is
fired for that.
they're
one.
essentially running the same design they
Mhm.
ran 100 years ago. The sprint car chassis and midget chassis haven't really changed. Now there have been some subtle improvements. There's been some bars that have been added after tragedy, where cars got into cockpits and stuff like that. Some of the energy absorbing seat mounts, the chasm system, and I forget the name of the other one, have shown some development in that. So, but unless you radically change the design of a sprint car, you cannot change that chassis structure that I can see.
Arguably, could you sit there and say that adding bars to a roll cage? I mean, in upstate New York, they were the NASCAR or the NASCAR the modifieds back then. They were building the cars so stiff, the cars were hitting the wall, and the cars were relatively undamaged, and drivers were getting seriously hurt and killed in the cars because they didn't have crumple zones. They didn't have crush zones in the cage to allow the cage to absorb energy. It was transferring all to the driver. So there's a point where you got to look at it, and it's like, and I'm using this as an example, sorry, Raz, is that when that bar failed, I'm not saying it was a design failure, but maybe that was a point in the cage that to absorb energy or do whatever, because like you said, the greenhouse stayed intact.
Well, as Shane Rawson will attest, I'm no metallurgist, but you have to have something's got to give in a cage. You can't have it, like you said, built like a bridge where you were killing driver and having a nearly intact race car when it was done. So the Brenham Crouch quote unquote cage failure doesn't concern me a whole lot. something's going to break. when you crash that hard, something's going to break. So better a broken chassis than a killed driver.
I'd rather walk away with a broken arm than get drug out.
The irony is that the driver he hit is replacing him until he gets better.
So that's what it was. That's what happened with that dude. Wanted the ride.
Right.
What else we got?
That's all.
Well, after you guys got done bashing NASCAR, everybody should watch the NASCAR documentary called NASCAR Americana coming up this Sunday after the NASCAR race. It is episode 3 of the documentary, and I am featured in it.
Oh, that's the only reason why I'd watch it.
Featured like interviewed, like they did for
Yeah.
your Hollywood stars.
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
I mean,
that
that's
makes it worth.
all of the.
I'm assuming that has something to do with the North
Yes,
Island
it does.
race.
The third episode is tied to NASCAR. Nothing's more American than stock car racing, and premier stock car racing is NASCAR. Nothing's more American than NASCAR is. How their fans are loyal to the military, how proud they are to be, and then also focused around the race at the base.
Is that what we're officially calling it now? The race at the base?
That's it. Race at the base.
Has kind of a nice ring to it.
So I've already been displayed twice on TV. So they did when they finished the first episode, they did the on the next episodes, right? And then there's a little snapshot of me, my mom, and Waylon sitting there cheering. And then at the end of the last episode, we were walking the track, and they were interviewing me walking the track, and then the colors happened, and so I stopped, turned around, and saluted at the flag. And so they've got that as on the episode 2 piece.
Cool.
Which you're a good little
good little boy.
See, now this actually brings up something. This is totally off topic, but it happened this weekend at the racetrack. If you are just say, doing your morning business when colors comes on, what's the requirement for you in the Navy?
Drop your cock and salute.
Because I just happened to be, I'm like, we're getting close to start time. I'm getting ready. Yeah.
And if you're pinching a grumpy, you just sit at attention.
Sit at attention.
In a military upright fashion.
Yeah. I just happened to be doing that when opening ceremonies were about to start. I'm like, this is going to be awkward.
Well, just remember this, though. If you're indoors, you don't have to salute.
If you're
okay.
If you're having a whiz, you better aim that fucker towards the flag and start saluting, buddy.
Yep. If you're outside and covered.
Okay, that brings a whole nother thing into this, but that's okay.
Right. So we have jumped way off topic.
I knew that was going to take us off the rails.
Yep.
Way to go, John. Captain somebody over there.
Like, comment, subscribe. You can find us on our socials, which John's about to tell us right now.
Dirty Sliders on Facebook, at Dirty Sliders on Instagram, and Dirty.Sliders on Twitter. X, whatever you want to call it. And our Patreon.
And then, nice. I did not clear this with any of you guys, but I'm going to do it anyway, and at least one of you is going to get mad at me for doing it. We're going to dedicate this episode to the memory of Jack Confer. Sorry about the passing of your dad, yep. Phil. On that sour note, good night, everybody.
Yeah.